left and you have a new role. How's it been going?
It's been fun and it's been challenging. You know, it's been a new level of having to be ultra organized, prioritize tasks, and be involved on just a greater scope with more people in the organization, which has been fun. Luckily for me, the support here within the scouting department from people like Brian Smith and Steve Cargile, Elliot Wolf, I could keep naming people, but we have so many good people here that offer support, that have experience, that it's made the transition pretty seamless. And it's exciting, you know, a new challenge, more involvement, and again, being able to lead more people and hopefully have a greater impact is something that we all strive for in our careers. And so it's an exciting opportunity and something I'm ready to keep grinding away at.
There's no combine this year. How difficult is that for you and your staff?
Yeah, it presents a new challenge because you don't have the opportunity as much face-to-face time with the players. And I think that's the biggest thing, you know, the interviews and the personal contact and the face-to-face communication, you know, taking that out, though you do Zoom calls and things like that, but just that face-to-face communication makes it different because you're not able to get the read on players maybe that you would normally have, or the side conversations that you would have with players just throughout the week and things like that makes it different.
No combine, but you mentioned there are pro days. What can you do? Can you go to those pro days?
Yeah, right now the NFL has certain protocols, and then the schools have certain protocols that may be in line with the state, their counties and things of that nature. So we can attend pro days. It's limited to 3 people from each organization that can attend. The contact's much different. You know, you usually would go to a pro day and you may meet with a player the night before. You may meet with coaches while you're on campus. And again, it goes back to a lot of that face-to-face interaction. And that's you can't do that. That's limited. So you can go watch the player work out, and you can watch them work out, and then you leave the school call. So it does give you the opportunity to see the players live, to see their body composition, what their physical stature is and things like that, and get to see that live look that maybe you didn't get to see in the fall. So there is that benefit, but again, it goes back to that contact piece. It's just going to be a lot different.
But you keep mentioning those one-off conversations that are lacking this year. How do you get to know these players as people leading up to the draft when you're doing it through Zoom?
Yeah, it's definitely more challenging, and I think that it goes back to the character that you were able to gather through, you know, your contacts and things like that through the fall, that you're probably going to rely on even a little bit more this year than you have in the past. And I think also, you know, you have to use Zoom, because that's what we have. And so, you know, we have a certain amount of calls that we're able to make to each kid, and we'll maximize those calls, and we'll maximize our opportunities with the players when we have the opportunity. And I still think, like, you can still get a good feel for people and the players over Zoom calls. It might not be to the level of detail that you always feel when you're face to face. But again, we'll maximize them, and I think we feel confident that we'll have the information that we feel comfortable having, and we'll dig like we always dig, and we'll spend the time to make sure that we do feel good about the players that we have interest in.
You can only call them a certain amount of times. Is there a set amount of players that you're restricted to having Zoom meetings with?
Yeah, so at the Combine, you may have a 15-minute interview here. At an All-Star game, it may be a 15-minute interview here. And what all that adds up to is probably not that much different. But it's going to be done on Zoom. So we can access all of those players, and we'll do that.
And the Senior Bowl was one of the rare occasions where you could see these players in person down in Alabama. How refreshing was that to finally get a chance to size these guys up?
It was awesome. Yeah, it was refreshing. It was nice to not only see the players and see them in a competitive setting versus other good players, and see them live, and again, see those physical attributes on display live. That was great.
A blockbuster trade in the NFL. Detroit is dealing Matthew Stafford to the LA Rams in exchange for 2 future first-round picks, a third-round pick, and Jared Goff.
The Philadelphia Eagles agreeing to trade Carson Wentz, the number 2 overall pick.
There's been 3 quarterbacks that have been traded and moved already. And those 3 were quarterbacks that some people would have considered at one point a franchise quarterback for that organization. Does the volatility of the quarterback position surprise you? Is that something we're going to see more moving forward?
Yeah, it's unique, and I just think it goes back to the high expectations that go along with that position and what the money that's invested in that position and the return that people want. There's just so many different attributes that go into playing this position.
The cap has not officially been set yet, but as we are filming this right now, the Patriots have the 3rd most cap space out of anybody in the league. What can Patriots fans get excited about as you look to reshape this roster?
I think having cap space gives you flexibility, and there aren't a whole lot of teams at this point that maybe have a lot of cap space. And so I think having that flexibility, again, it just opens up options for you. And I think that at the same time, there's still a responsibility to spend those dollars wisely.
Dave, it's an interesting offseason ahead. 15th pick and plenty of cap space. I'm sure you have your work cut out for you, and thanks for the time. Best of luck.
Thank you. We're excited.